Look, I don't trust anybody that likes dwarves. At the end of the day, if you like dwarves, I know that your mental capabilities are not in the right place. True, why would you like dwarves, huh? They're stunty, they're tiny, and all they know how to do is use pickaxes to just break rock. They don't make proper societies. They don't have proper societies. They don't have proper cities. What they do have is a hole in the ground, much like hobbits, but hobbits at least make society outside. Dwarves just stick to mine and stick to pickaxe and rock. Now, it depends. In some universes, dwarves are made out of stone. And that's because at the end of the day, they share the same IQ with a rock. The only difference is that I think a rock can take an SAT test and pass it while a dwarf can't. The only thing a dwarf can pass as is a pretty not that great snack for a hungry dragon. And even then, the dragon will probably pick better choices like eating trees or dirt. Dwarf's not that bright, we already said that. But when you look at dwarf and you have disagreement with dwarf, what dwarf do, huh? Dwarf only open his mouth and yob. Dwarf can only talk. Dwarf cannot do anything. Dwarfs have great book, they call Great Book of Grudges, and there they write every reason why they're angry. But they don't do anything when they're angry. They are weak. Now when me and my brothers, when my tovarish come to dwarf up with bows ready, arrows in hand, prepared to blast him. Do you know what dwarf do? Dwarf wheezes himself. Dwarf caca himself. And him and all his dwarf friends, they guttered to have this fight. You know why they do that? Because dwarves are weak. The only good thing about a dwarf is its mouth. Dwarf only good with mouth. But if you see a dwarf woman, they're not even good with mouth. They're not even good with other parts that women should be able to be good with. No. I went to a dwarf city once, stood there for a night. The next morning, every female dwarf there wanted to make me king of the city. But I guess that's what happens when your pecker is bigger than an inch and it's not made of stone, it's made of real flesh to give some nice sensation. Those dwarves don't even know what lube is. And given the chance, I probably would accept it to be king of dwarves. The only problem is that the whole harem of dwarven women isn't really that much. I would much rather take a goblin woman than a dwarf woman. When you look at the end of the day, their women look like men. Their women look like men. They are men. The only difference is that they don't have beards, but some of them do have some hair on their face, which is disgusting. How can you even claim to be a proper race when there's no difference between your men and your women? Gonna be honest, there's nothing worse than a dwarf prostitute. In fact, you might take a dwarf prostitute and you're not even sure you're taking a woman to bed, let's be honest with that. Dwarves will always have this weird sense of superiority about them, like they somehow deserve everything they got. I'm sorry, you're a race made of stone or earth or dirt or nothing. You're made out of that, and you're stuck in your little mountains. You can't really claim superiority over a race that can already wield magic. And talking about magic, let's look at this. In the few universes in which dwarves use magic, they're the worst users of any type of magic. They're not even good at normal magic. They're not good at arcane magic, holy magic, nature magic. They're not good at any type of it. Most universes, they're only good to just wield pickaxes. Magic is a very bad subject. It gets dwarves very angry and very cry about it. They cry a lot when you talk about magic. They can't conjure up magic. They do a rune magic, they call it. But that's what we normal elves call enchantment. You enchant something, you stupid dwarf. Let's be honest, pal. Who gives dwarves the right to kill elves, okay? They only hate us because we're better than them. They hate us because our ears are longer, because we're taller than them. And they're not really the proper size that they think we should be. Who gives them the authority to kill an elf? You can barely hold your own authority in your own city, pal, when your women wanted to make me king of dwarves because my pecker was longer than any other man in there. You're not that keen on fighting back, but you are keen on talking about fighting back and trying to fight back. But when me and my elves, and when me and my Knifeears pull up on you with bows in hand, you all wheeze yourself, you caca yourself right there, as my good friend Mirkwood said. You're not good at it. When you dig holes, your greatest achievement is making hole in ground, making hole in mountain. And you know what you do when you make hole in mountain? You're so stupid, you unleash eldritch horror from mountain. You unleash goblins from mountain and they kill you. Huh? How many cities have gone array? How many cities are dead now? Because dwarves too stupid and dig too deep. They dig too deep, they found the eldritch horror. Eldritch horror killed them. And we all know that's just because they're not good at magic. At the end of the day, they're not good at magic at all. Because if they were, they would know that there's an eldritch horror right under their feet that they're digging into. They would also probably have the mind to, block off any access point that means orcs and goblins and dark elves are coming to slaughter them. Because at the end of the day, when you do it with your own hand, that's called manual labor. And we know dwarves are very good at manual labor. They can't really satisfy their women, so that's like their best shot. But if you had any mind, you would block all those points from where the dark elves and the orcs and the goblins are coming. But you dig straight through them because you want to be slaughtered. There's probably some self-humiliation aspect to being a dwarf. It's maybe the size that's the problem with them, right? They got big man syndrome. In this case, little man syndrome. But what do you do when you have a whole race of little men? You deal with dwarves, that's what you do. And the best way to deal with dwarves is to use them as footstools, to use them as chairs. Let's be honest, when you shave off their beard, what do you have? Probably woman, because you can't really make difference. Different story, different problem. Hell, pal. In most universes, you're not even the most advanced race out there. Though you like to pretend to be the most advanced race out there. We all know you're not, pal. Even in the Elder Scrolls, you did some good things, but you blew yourself up. This is a common element when it comes to dwarf kind, because you like blowing yourselves up. You like destroying yourselves. We joke about goblins in World of Warcraft, but usually dwarves do that 10 times worse. Also thanks to uncovering eldritch horrors that kill you. Dwarves are the only race that can really get a reputation from only talking, but never doing anything. People say, oh, dwarves good fighters, good berserkers. No, dwarves bad at fighting. Dwarves very bad at fighting. Dwarves very bad at being berserkers. Dwarves only good at talking. They talk so big that everybody goes like, oh, they must be good. Must be very good. Dwarf very strong. No, dwarf not strong. Pull elbow at him and he fall. You understand? Elbow. You give elbow to dwarf and dwarf fall. That's how bad it is. The popularity of dwarves is clearly overrated at this point. Let's be honest, more people like elves because elves have cooler traits and are generally cooler as a society, as a culture, and as anything else, as a design as well, than dwarves. At the end of the day, dwarves want to be as popular as elves want to be, but what they have is just insults and big mouth talking because they can never reach the greatness and the superiority that we of elven kind have. Fuck the dwarves. I totally agree, comrade. Fuck the dwarves. I'm there with you, pals. Fuck the dwarves. Big time.